Premier Doug Ford asked people to think from the perspective of the Caledonia developer when he was asked about the conflict today. Lisa Hepfner has the latest reaction from political leaders.
Ford says a few bad apples from the Six Nations community are responsible for the disruption in Caledonia on the site of what was supposed to be a new community development called Mackenzie Meadows, now dubbed 1492 Landback Lane by opponents.
Let's flip this for a little bit. These people have saved everything they've had. They go into a community, they buy a home, like all of us. Our goal is to buy a home. And all of a sudden someone comes in and says, no, not yours anymore, it's ours. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be and won't be tolerated.
The Premier says he has a good relationship with Six Nations elected chief Mark Hill. The elected council was involved in negotiations and supported the new development.
I'm not going to be very blunt. I'm not going to tolerate violence. It's very simple. And he told me he doesn't tolerate it. So I don't know if a few folks are going rogue, but the way you get things settled is by sitting around the table, talking about solutions. You don't go after our police. You don't start burning telephone poles. You don't start digging up roads.
But other politicians are coming to the defense of protesters.
Last night, the OPP opened fire on land defenders with rubber bullets, setting the stage for a sharp escalation in violence there. This conflict is not new, Mr. Speaker. It is the direct result of this government's refusal to negotiate these land claims in good faith, resulting in this violence.
I think the federal government needs to be negotiating with the hereditary chiefs and recognize those hereditary chiefs as part of that nation negotiation.
Many in Six Nations don't recognize the elected council as legitimate representatives who can negotiate on their behalf.
The treaties that form the basis of all the rights that are at issue and the land rights, those treaties arise from the 1780s, 1701. The Indian Act Band Council wasn't created until 1924, and it was created by the federal government to avoid having to deal with the Confederacy and its people who were asking for their land back.
Lawyer Aaron Detler has acted for the Haudenosaunee Confederacy Chiefs Council on several land claim issues. He says that whether it's the Caledonia land dispute 15 years ago or the one today, or any of the recent action like the stoppage of rail lines in support of the BC Wet'suwet'en, it all comes back to land, and there has been no progress. He is not hopeful.
At the end of the day, every time the federal government comes to the table, they try and throw money at the issue, and over again, they hear it's about the land. It's about people protecting the land. We're approaching a new area now that is going to actually intensify the conflict, and that's the use of what's referred to as a permanent injunction. So His Honor today issued a permanent injunction which is effectively extinguished treaty rights. The judge is trying to extinguish treaty rights outside the scope of a treaty-based relationship. So we're entering a new and very dangerous time right now. And I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen because from my relationship with the people who are out there defending the land, the judge and the OPP aren't going to dissuade them from the correctness of their position.
The federal government says it is working with the community and looks forward to a meeting. Lisa Hepfner, CHCH News.